Aaron's ship glided silently through the endless black of space. He had traveled alone for months, delivering supplies and repairing small colonies on distant planets. Life among the stars was quiet, and Aaron liked it that way. He liked the calm, the stars shining above, and the feeling that he was free from rules and orders. Yet today something strange waited for him. While scanning a small, unclaimed planet for fuel, Aaron noticed a faint signal. It was weak, irregular, and almost hidden under the natural background noise of the planet. Curiosity drew him closer. Landing his small shuttle on the rocky surface, he followed the signal, expecting perhaps a lost probe or a broken satellite. Instead, he found a tiny escape pod, half buried in the sand, shaking slightly as if it had been alive for a long time. Aaron crouched beside it and tapped the metal. The hatch slowly opened, creaking in protest. Inside, 3 small figures huddled together. They looked scared. Their skin was pale with hints of unusual colors, soft glows in their cheeks. They wore clothes made of fabrics he had never seen, light and shining, with symbols embroidered in a strange, delicate pattern. They were not more than 10 or 12 years old, and yet there was something about them that made him pause. They were not ordinary children. They carried an air of importance, of someone waiting for the world to notice them. "Hey, it's okay," Aaron said gently, keeping his voice low. "I'm not going to hurt you." The girls blinked at him with wide, fearful eyes. One of them, the tallest, whispered something in a language Aaron did not understand. The other 2 clung to her, trembling. He noticed that their small hands were marked with strange bracelets that seemed to hum softly, though the power was faint. Aaron didn't panic. He had seen enough ships crash and lost travelers before. What he did next was simple. He reached into his kit and pulled out food bars and water rations. Slowly he offered them to the girls. At first they hesitated, unsure if the human meant them harm. But hunger and curiosity won. One by one they took the bars, nibbling carefully. "You're safe now," Aaron said. "I'll take care of you until you're ready to go home." The words seemed to calm them a little. The oldest one, who had spoken first, finally looked up at him. Her eyes were a deep violet, almost glowing, filled with confusion and fear. "You will not send us back?" she asked in halting English, the words broken but understandable. Aaron shook his head. "No, I promise. I'll protect you until you are ready to go home." He helped them climb out of the pod and guided them to his shuttle. Inside it was small but warm, with beds and supplies for one. He had to improvise quickly, making blankets from spare sheets and cushions. The girls watched everything silently, curious but still wary. He set the temperature to a comfortable warmth, and when he offered them simple toys from his cargo, they hesitated, then laughed softly at the moving parts and flashing lights. The sound was delicate and unfamiliar to him, yet it made him smile. Over the next few hours, Aaron learned a little about them. They had names, though difficult for him to pronounce: Lyra, the oldest, Fea, the middle, and Nari, the youngest. They told him their story in small pieces. Their ship had been attacked. They had run and something had gone wrong. They did not know where their parents were or if they were still alive. They did not know if anyone would ever find them. Aaron listened quietly, nodding. He did not promise to solve everything. He only promised to protect them now. Night fell outside the shuttle window. Stars blinked in silence. The girls were tired, curled up together on the makeshift bed. Aaron watched them for a moment, thinking about what he had just agreed to. He was a simple man, a traveler. He had no fleet, no army, no power to fight empires. But he could keep these 3 children safe. That was enough for now. He prepared a small meal for himself and sat quietly, keeping an ear out for any signs of danger. Nothing came. The planet was empty and quiet. Yet he knew this was only the beginning. Whoever had attacked their ship, whoever had made them run, could still be out there somewhere in the vast stars. But for tonight they were safe. That was enough. Lyra shifted slightly in her sleep, mumbling a few words in her language. Aaron smiled softly. She was beginning to trust him even in sleep. It was a fragile trust, but it was real. And that trust was everything. He promised himself he would not let it break. These girls were far from home, alone in a galaxy that could be cruel and indifferent. But here, on this small shuttle, they were safe. And as long as he breathed, he would make sure it stayed that way. For the first time in many months, Aaron felt a warmth he had not felt in years. Not from the stars, not from the quiet planets, but from the knowledge that someone depended on him. 3 small lives, trembling and scared, now trusted him. And somehow, that simple fact made the endless darkness of space feel a little less lonely. Outside, the wind whispered over the rocks. Inside, 3 young girls slept peacefully for the first time in what felt like forever. And Aaron, a human with nothing but a small ship and a big heart, kept watch over them. In that quiet, ordinary moment, a promise was made, not of adventure or glory but of something far more important: protection, care, and trust. The galaxy might be vast and dangerous, but for tonight the lost ones were found, and a human had become their guardian. The next morning the sun rose slowly over the rocky planet. Aaron moved quietly around his small shuttle, careful not to wake the three girls. They had slept more peacefully than the night before, but he knew their journey was far from over. Lyra, Fea, and Nari were still frightened. Their eyes held questions he could not fully answer. Still, he had made a promise and he intended to keep it. Breakfast was simple: hydration packs and some fruit he had in storage. Aaron sat with the girls, offering small pieces and encouraging them to eat. Fea smiled faintly as she accepted a piece of fruit, and Nari tugged gently at Aaron's sleeve, asking him something in her broken English. Lyra watched him quietly, still unsure. Aaron understood: trust was not built in one night. It took time, patience, and small actions. "Today we fix the ship," Aaron said gently, trying to keep his voice calm. "Then we decide what comes next." The girls nodded slowly. They helped as much as they could, handing him tools or holding small parts. Their hands were tiny and their movements careful, but they wanted to be useful. Aaron felt a quiet pride. He had never expected teamwork from children who had just survived a crash, but their determination was clear. Even in fear they tried. As he worked, Aaron asked them about their home. They hesitated at first, unsure how much to tell him. Then, slowly, Lyra began to speak. Their planet had been beautiful, with cities that floated above glowing lakes and forests that shimmered under twin suns. They had a family, a mother who was kind, a father who was wise. Their people were proud and strong, and their home was full of tradition and music. Aaron listened, imagining a place more wonderful than anything he had ever seen. He realized that the girls carried more than fear. They carried a world he might never visit. "Why are you helping us?" Fea asked softly, looking up at him with wide eyes. Aaron paused. It was a simple question, yet it held more weight than he expected. He smiled faintly. "Because it's the right thing to do. You are alone. I can help. That is enough for me." The girls exchanged glances. Lyra's violet eyes softened slightly. Trust was growing bit by bit, like the first warm rays of sun across a cold morning. By midday the shuttle was repaired enough to move short distances. Aaron tested the engines and the navigation systems. They were not ready to leave the planet entirely, but he had taken the first step. The girls watched with fascination as the ship hummed back to life. Nari reached out and touched the controls lightly, and Aaron guided her hands. "Careful," he said, smiling. "This can be tricky, but you are learning fast." Even in small moments the bond grew. Aaron realized he was not just protecting the girls, he was teaching them. Teaching them patience, small skills, and how to survive without fear. He did not scold them, did not rush them. He showed them gently how to navigate the little world of the shuttle. The girls began to laugh at small mistakes, and the sound echoed softly in the cabin. Aaron felt warmth he had not known in years. At night they gathered together to rest. The girls huddled close, still frightened of the unknown outside. Aaron sat with them, telling stories of his travels, of planets that glowed with strange colors, of friendly aliens he had met along the way. The girls listened, wide-eyed, as if each story was a promise that the universe could be kind, not only dangerous. "Will anyone find us?" Nari whispered as her eyelids grew heavy. Aaron hugged her gently. "I don't know, little one. But while I'm here you are safe. That is what matters." He realized then that his promise was not about returning them to their home immediately. It was about the present moment, about protection, about care. He had no army, no fleet, no power like the empires he had read about. But he had patience, intelligence, and a heart willing to keep his word. For 3 small girls that was enough. Days passed quietly. Aaron found small routines. He taught them to cook simple meals, to fold blankets neatly, and to help with ship maintenance. The girls learned quickly, laughing as they stumbled. Aaron noticed their personalities emerging. Lyra was thoughtful, Fea was adventurous, and Nari was gentle and kind. Each one had strengths that complemented the others. He began to see them not only as children in need of protection but as individuals who could grow under his care. One afternoon, as they worked together repairing a damaged panel, Lyra looked at Aaron seriously. You are very human," she said slowly. "Different, but brave." Aaron chuckled. "I'm not brave," he said. "I just do what needs to be done. Anyone would do the same for someone in trouble." Fea frowned slightly. "Not everyone," she said. Some people would leave us. You stayed. The words touched him more than she could know. He realized that bravery was not about fighting or weapons. It was about standing by others, keeping promises and caring when no one else might. That simple human promise, the promise to protect, was what mattered most. As the day ended, the girls settled down for sleep again. Aaron watched them, thinking of the journey ahead. The universe was large and many dangers might come their way. He did not fear them. He only knew that he would not fail these children. They had trusted him. They had given him a place in their hearts. And for him that was more important than any empire, any ship or any distant world. Outside, stars glittered silently, vast and endless. Inside, a human and 3 lost alien princesses shared warmth and trust, bound together by a simple promise. Tomorrow might bring new challenges, but for tonight they were safe. That was enough. And Aaron knew quietly that he would keep this promise, no matter what came. The galaxy was vast, silent in its endless motion, but far away, the Empress mother could feel that something was wrong. Her daughters were missing and she could not sense their location. Every star, every system was scanned, and fleets moved carefully through the darkness, searching. The princesses were precious, the heirs to her empire, and she would not rest until they were safe. Meanwhile, Aaron stayed hidden on the small rocky planet, unaware that powerful eyes were watching across the stars. He focused only on the girls. He had learned to keep them safe, to provide food, warmth, and care. Every day was a challenge, every sound outside the shuttle a potential warning, but he had grown confident in his simple routines. The girls began to settle more into life on the ship. They explored its small corridors, learning the buttons, levers, and screens under Aaron's patient guidance. Fea laughed as she accidentally activated the lights, and Nari clapped her hands in delight at the soft hum of the engines. Even Lyra smiled faintly, her fears slowly melting. They learned not only about the ship but about the human who cared for them. Aaron never boasted, never demanded obedience. He treated them with patience and respect, listening when they spoke, explaining things when they asked. But trust was not the only thing Aaron needed. He had to think about the future. How long could he hide? How long could he protect them if someone came looking? He knew the galaxy held many dangers. He had read stories of humans being underestimated, laughed at by advanced alien species. But he also knew humans could adapt, survive, and protect those they cared for. That belief gave him courage. One evening, Aaron sat outside the shuttle watching the stars shimmer. The girls were inside, drawing pictures with glowing markers he had found in the cargo. Lyra peeked through the small window and waved, showing a careful sketch of a strange city in the sky. Aaron smiled and waved back. These small joys mattered. They reminded him why he was doing this, why the promise he made was more important than any risk. Suddenly, a small signal appeared on his scanner. It was weak, almost lost among the natural noise of the planet, but it was unmistakable. A patrol ship. Not large, not hostile, yet a reminder that the galaxy was watching. Aaron acted calmly. He powered down the shuttle's lights, covered its small hull with natural rock camouflage, and held his breath. The patrol moved slowly past, scanning the surface, then continued on its route. The danger had passed, but it was a warning. Someone was looking for the princesses. Aaron gathered the girls and explained in simple words. "We have to be careful," he said. "Some people might come looking for you. Some might not understand what is happening. But don't worry. I will keep you safe." Fea looked at him, eyes wide. Who are they?" she asked. "Powerful people," Aaron said honestly. "People who care about you but who might not know you yet. We just need to stay smart and calm until we meet them." Lyra nodded slowly. We trust you," she said softly. Those words struck Aaron. Trust was fragile, easily broken, but these girls had given it to him. And it was worth more than any treasure, more than any reward from a distant empire. Days passed in careful routines. Aaron taught them how to read basic star maps, how to identify friendly signals from unknown ships, and how to maintain their small ship. The princesses learned quickly, their natural intelligence shining through. Fea loved handling the small tools, Lyra studied the maps and symbols, and Nari helped with small repairs, her gentle hands surprisingly steady. The patrols came and went, but Aaron always stayed one step ahead. He used his knowledge of the planet, the quiet terrain, and his understanding of human ingenuity to hide the shuttle. At night, he and the girls would sit outside under the stars. Lyra asked questions about Earth, curious about humans, and Aaron shared stories. He told them about simple things: rivers, forests, cities filled with lights, people who laughed and cried, humans who helped others even without reward. The girls listened, fascinated. They are small but clever, Lyra said one night looking at him. Humans are strange. Aaron laughed quietly. Yes, we are strange, he said. But we try to do the right thing even when it's hard. That is what matters. The princesses began to understand. Humans might not have the power of a fleet or the shields of an empire, but they had something different: courage, care, and persistence. It was not strength in fighting but strength in protecting. One day, a larger signal appeared on his scanner. Unlike the patrol, this one was strong, official, and precise. Aaron's heart skipped a beat. He did not panic, but he knew this could be the Empress's fleet. He explained the situation to the girls, keeping his voice calm. This might be them, he said. We don't know if they are coming to help or if they are testing us. But whatever happens, we stay together. The girls huddled close. Trust and fear mixed in their eyes, but they did not panic. Aaron's calmness gave them courage. They had learned something vital. Even in a galaxy full of unknown dangers, a human's promise could create safety. As the fleet drew closer in the distance, Aaron prepared quietly. He did not plan to fight. He did not need weapons. What he needed was honesty, courage, and the care he had shown since the first day. Whoever arrived, he would protect the girls. Above the planet, stars reflected off distant ships. Whispers of the Empress's search had reached him in faint signals. The galaxy was vast, but some forces could not hide. And yet Aaron felt calm. He had learned something that the fleet would never understand at first glance. True protection was not in power alone. It was in patience, care, and keeping a promise no matter the danger. The princesses, sleepy but alert, held his hands. We trust you, Nari said softly. Aaron smiled. And I will not fail you, he said. Outside, the galaxy turned silently. Ships searched, signals traveled, and the Empress Mother's fleet approached, unaware that a single human, small and alone, was ready to protect her daughters. And inside the little shuttle, 3 lost princesses and 1 determined human waited, bound together by trust, care, and a promise that nothing could break. The whispers of the stars spoke of danger, but also of hope. And Aaron knew one thing clearly: no matter what came, he would keep his promise. The sky above the small planet shimmered with movement as the massive alien fleet slowly descended. Aaron had never seen ships like these. They were elegant, enormous, and brimming with quiet power. Even from a distance, he could feel the presence of authority. Yet he did not panic. He had prepared the girls for this moment, and he knew that courage and honesty were stronger than fear. Inside the shuttle, the 3 girls watched the approaching fleet with wide eyes. Lyra clutched a small blanket tightly, Fea's hands shook slightly, and Nari peeked nervously through the window. Aaron knelt beside them, speaking calmly. This is why we have been careful, he said. But remember, we have done nothing wrong. We have only kept you safe. Stay close and trust me. The fleet's ships settled into orbit, and a single vessel descended toward their location. It was enormous, far larger than Aaron's shuttle, but it moved with precision, almost as if it were alive. From inside the ship, a voice transmitted through a clear channel. It was calm, firm, and carried a weight that made Aaron pause. I am the Empress Mother, the voice said. I know my daughters are here. Step outside and do not harm them. Aaron looked at the girls. They looked back at him with a mixture of fear and trust. He took a deep breath. Girls, he said softly, stay close to me. I'll show them the truth. He stepped outside the shuttle slowly, hands visible, and the girls followed. The planet's surface was quiet except for the distant hum of engines. The Empress's vessel hovered above, and a ramp extended. From it descended a figure tall and regal, glowing slightly under the starlight. Her presence was commanding yet not cruel. Every movement carried authority. Every glance seemed to weigh truth from deception. The princesses ran forward as soon as they recognized her. Lyra, Fea, and Nari each reached her in turn, clinging to her arms. The Empress knelt slightly, gathering them, her voice gentle yet strong. My children, she said, her eyes softening as she looked at them. You are safe. You are safe now. Aaron stood back, watching silently. He had expected anger, perhaps disbelief, even suspicion. But instead he saw gratitude in her eyes and something else: respect. You, the Empress said, turning toward him, her gaze piercing. You kept them safe when no one else could. Explain yourself. Aaron straightened. I am a human, he said simply. I found them alone, afraid and in danger. I promised to protect them and I did. I have not harmed them. I have only cared for them and kept them safe until you arrived. There was a long silence. The Empress studied him carefully. She could see that he spoke the truth. His calm demeanor, the evidence of care in the girl's eyes, and the state of the shuttle all confirmed his words. Slowly she nodded. "You are a human," she said softly, almost to herself. "And yet you have done what many stronger beings could not. You have courage, patience, and honor. You have my gratitude." The princesses looked up at him, smiling through tears. Lyra whispered, "He kept us safe, mother." Fea added, "He taught us and protected us." Nari simply hugged him, saying nothing, but her small gesture said more than words could. The Empress extended a hand toward him. "Step forward," she said. Aaron hesitated, unsure if he should, but the girls encouraged him with quiet nods. He moved closer, feeling the weight of a presence far greater than anything he had faced before. "You have earned my respect, human," the Empress said. "Humans are small in the galaxy, yet your actions prove that strength is not always measured in fleets or firepower. Courage, care, and a promise kept, these are greater than weapons. You have shown that humanity can rise to greatness." Aaron bowed slightly, feeling both humbled and honored. He had never sought recognition. He had only done what was right. Yet, the words of the Empress carried weight beyond any medal or reward. He realized that sometimes actions alone spoke louder than titles, armies, or power. The princesses gathered around him once more. The Empress's eyes softened as she looked at all four of them. "You have bonded in a way few beings ever do," she said. "This bond will be remembered throughout our empire. I thank you, human, for protecting what is most precious to me." Aaron smiled faintly. "I only kept a promise," he said. "That is all." The Empress nodded. "A promise can change worlds," she said. "Today you have changed mine." With that, she gestured to her fleet. "Return to your ship. You will be honored among my people. And know this, humanity has friends in this galaxy because one human chose to do what was right." As the fleet prepared to depart, the princesses waved goodbye, tears of joy in their eyes. Lyra whispered, "Thank you, Aaron. We will never forget you." Fea and Nari echoed her feelings, holding his hands tightly for a last moment before stepping onto the Empress's ship. Alone once more on the planet, Aaron watched the fleet disappear into the stars. The girls were safe, their mother reunited with them. Yet something had changed within him. He was still a simple human traveler, but he now understood the true weight of trust, courage, and keeping a promise. The galaxy was vast, full of unknown dangers, but also full of connections. One small human had proven that even without great power, he could influence events in ways no one expected. And that thought gave him hope. Aaron returned to his shuttle, ready to continue his journey. The universe was wide, and there were still many worlds to explore, many people to help, and many lessons to learn. But one thing was certain. He had left a mark not through strength, but through care, honesty, and the simple courage to keep a promise. And across the stars, whispers of his deeds began to spread. Humans, once underestimated, were not to be ignored. One human had protected 3 lost princesses, and in doing so, had shown that the smallest beings could sometimes be the greatest heroes of all. After the Empress and her daughters departed, Aaron stood alone on the small rocky planet. The stars stretched endlessly above him, quiet and calm as if nothing in the galaxy had changed. But he knew that something had. He had kept a promise, protected lives, and in doing so, had earned respect from a civilization far greater than his own. It was a feeling both strange and humbling, yet quietly satisfying. Aaron returned to his shuttle, checking the engines and systems with careful hands. The repairs he had made before the Empress arrived held well, and soon the ship hummed with life. He could have continued his travels as before, but something had shifted inside him. He no longer traveled simply to fix ships or deliver goods. Now he carried the memory of the girls and the lessons he had learned about courage, care, and trust. Far away the galaxy buzzed with news. The story of a human who had protected 3 lost alien princesses spread quickly through the Empress's empire. Reports spoke of a small, quiet human who had no power, no fleet, yet had stood firm against danger and uncertainty. The empire's leaders and citizens were astonished. Humans, long thought weak and unremarkable, were not so easily dismissed. One human had proven that the strength of heart could outweigh the strength of arms. Back on the shuttle, Aaron prepared his course for the next system. He checked the navigation carefully. Every planet he visited held new people, new opportunities, and new chances to help. Yet he thought often of the princesses and their mother. He smiled quietly, knowing they were safe and happy. That knowledge alone was reward enough. A faint signal appeared on his scanner. It was from the Empress herself, sent across the vast distances of space. She had no need to ask for help, but her message carried gratitude and friendship. You have our thanks, it read. Humans are rare but some prove extraordinary. You have earned a place among those our people will remember with honor. Aaron read the message carefully, then smiled. He did not need gifts or praise. The simple acknowledgement of a life saved, a promise kept, and a trust honored was all that mattered. He replied with a short, simple message, I only did what was right. The girls were safe. That is enough. As he traveled to the next system, he thought of the lessons he had learned. Bravery was not always measured by power or skill. True courage was shown in everyday choices, to protect, to care, and to keep a promise even when the world was vast and unknown. Humans, he realized, had something special. Not everyone had strength or magic or fleets of ships, but the willingness to act for others without reward or recognition was the greatest strength of all. Days passed. Aaron stopped at small colonies, fixing machinery, delivering supplies, and quietly helping anyone in need. Each action was small, but he carried it with the knowledge that it mattered. He had seen how one simple choice could ripple across the stars. One human had protected 3 lost princesses, and in doing so had changed the perception of an entire empire. Sometimes when he rested under the stars, Aaron thought of the girls. Lyra, Fea, and Nari. He wondered what they were learning now, how they were growing, and how the bond they shared with him would shape their lives. He hoped they remembered him not only as a protector but as a friend, someone who had shown them kindness, patience, and courage when the universe had been uncertain and frightening. The galaxy was not quiet for long. Signals, travelers, and new adventures awaited. Yet Aaron felt ready for whatever came next. He carried the knowledge that even in the vast emptiness of space, a single human could make a difference. Not through power, not through wealth, but through simple, quiet choices that honored trust and care. One evening, as he floated near a small asteroid belt, Aaron received another signal from the Empress. This time it was more personal, a simple message meant only for him. The universe is wide, human, and we are grateful you are in it. Remember this, your courage has inspired more than you know. The galaxy will not forget. Aaron smiled faintly. He responded simply, I will continue. I will help where I can. That is all I need. He turned his ship toward the stars, leaving behind the small planet where the princesses had once hidden. Ahead lay new worlds, new people, and new challenges. He did not know what dangers or wonders he would face, but he knew one thing clearly. He would act as he always had, with honesty, courage, and care. That was the human way. And so, the story of Aaron, the human who had protected 3 lost alien princesses, spread quietly across the galaxy. The Empress and her daughters remembered him, telling stories of a small human with a big heart. Other species learned of him, surprised that someone so ordinary by appearance could have such extraordinary impact. The empire changed slightly, valuing the strength of care as much as the strength of power. Aaron's journey continued. He fixed, helped, and protected wherever he could. He never sought fame, recognition, or reward. And yet, the galaxy remembered him. One human had proven that even the smallest actions, guided by honesty and care, could echo across the stars. He had fulfilled a promise. He had protected those who could not protect themselves. And in doing so, he had shown the universe that sometimes, the greatest heroes were those who acted simply because it was right. As he floated past a distant planet, bathed in twin suns, Aaron felt a quiet warmth. The galaxy was immense, full of challenges and wonders, but also full of hope. And he, a simple human among the stars, had left a mark that would never fade. The princesses were safe, the Empress was grateful, and the story of courage, care, and honor would live on. Aaron smiled. His journey was far from over, but he knew the truth of it now. The universe could be vast, but one human heart, brave and honest, could shine brighter than any star.